Did the Treasurer ask if Mr. Desmond was giving from the profits of spunk-loving sluts, or Asian babes, or XXX pornographic television, or the profits of the Daily Star?
Order. As I said, I wish to give the honourable gentleman as much leeway as I can, and I've promised him, of course I would do this for any honourable member, to make sure that he has the protection of the chair. But we are discussing the report of the Procedures Committee and Privileges Committee, and therefore the matters that he's raising at the moment are not relevant to this report, and he must come back to it, sir.
Well, Mr. Speaker, with respect, they're highly relevant. It's a question of glass houses and people throwing stones. It's a question of a committee of politicians criticising me for political fundraising when they themselves are responsible for political fundraising on a gigantic scale from the most dubious of sources, in which they never applied to themselves the standards which they seek to apply to me in this report. It's a question not of standards, Mr. Speaker, but of double standards. The members of the committee may know, at least the more worldly members of it, that their committee is now known as the Double Standards Committee, the Double Standards in Defence of Privilege Committee.
Order. I say to the honourable gentleman that all members of this committee acted in good faith and were nominated to that committee by the House and conducted their affairs properly. And there's been no complaint whatsoever about the way that they have conducted their affairs. And in no way can I tolerate any honourable gentleman, and I know that feelings are running high with the honourable gentleman, to say that they indulge in double standards. They don't. No?
But, Mr. Speaker, you say there's no complaint whatsoever, but I have a complaint, and I wish to lay it before the House and the country. It would surely be intolerable to forbid me to argue that the committee have acted unjustly because of the notion. And
if the honourable gentleman says that he feels that the committee have acted unjustly, then that is a case that he is legitimately able to put. But to say that they indulge in double standards is saying that they're acting in a dishonourable way. But if you say that the honourable gentleman says he's not had justice, then put that case. And you're highly articulate, and you're able to do so. I know that over the period of years that I've known you. But what I say to you is this, is that having a complaint against the committee is one thing, but to say that you haven't had justice is something you're entitled to say without attacking the good character of any member of that committee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm really in a bit of a difficulty here. If I'm saying that I haven't had justice, that means I've been treated unjustly. How can I argue that I've been treated unjustly without alluding to the fact?
What I'm saying is this, is to the honourable gentleman, is that he can put the case that he felt that he was treated unjustly. That I understand. And it's for the House to decide after this debate finishes whether the House feels that the strength of argument is with the honourable gentleman or with the committee.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I'm just 10 minutes into what I'm afraid is going to be a long speech, and it's been now regularly interrupted by our teasing out of what's in order and what's not in order. I do assure you, Mr. Speaker, there's considerable interest in this debate this evening in the country, and I don't think that the country would consider that it had been well served by the House of Commons if a member who's about to be thrown out was not allowed to proceed with the argument against him being thrown out that he had come here to make. And I really appeal to your spirit of generosity in that, because it will not be possible for me to make the case that I've been treated unjustly without criticising the way that I've been treated. I know that the notion is Mr. Speaker, that we're all honourable members here. But I'm actually being accused of being dishonourable. And it's not possible for me to defend myself without dealing with the way in which I've been treated. And so I hope that I will be able to make my case, always, of course, at your direction. Let me begin, if I may, with my criticism of the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, Sir Philip Moore, who, in one of the delicious ironies...
Order. I'm very reluctant to keep interrupting the honourable gentleman. I usually, in these situations, leave honourable members who have had an accusation against them to allow them to develop their case. But I could put it to the honourable gentleman and to the House that there is a long tradition of not attacking individuals, such as officers of the House, who are not able to defend themselves. And I remind the House that good temper and moderation are the characteristics of parliamentary language.
Mr. Speaker, this is now beginning to verge on the ridiculous, and I do say again, there are very many people watching this debate this evening that would like to hear my defence against the charges of the Standards Commissioner and of the Committee of Privileges and Standards. If I'm to be, although you do it in the gentlest way, if you're to come over the ball at me every time I make a couple of yards advance in my argument, it will really get nowhere. I cannot criticise the conduct of the inquiry without criticising the conduct of the person who conducted it. I'll try to do so as temperately as I can, but it will be seen, Mr. Speaker, as an attempt to gag me here, as an attempt to silence me here. Well, Honourable...
I've known the honourable gentleman for 30 years, and I've never... I don't think I have the power to silence him. I don't think I've been able to do that. All I'm saying is this, is that the House has given me rules, a set of rules that I must abide by and see that they are enforced. And it's not an attempt to gag the honourable gentleman, but he must abide by the rules that Parliament has given me, and I'm the custodian of the rules, even in a situation like this.
Mr. Speaker, Dr. David Kelly was a civil servant who couldn't defend himself, and look what happened to him. Are we really saying that an important official of the British state, who's conducted a 4-year-long inquiry into me, cannot be criticised because of the position that he holds? That will not be tenable in the public, in the country. It might well pass muster here, though I suspect not with everyone. But it cannot be the case, surely, that I cannot develop my criticism of the Commissioner's inquiry into me because I'm gagged from mentioning the Commissioner, the man who carried out the inquiry. I'm sorry that these things are causing you difficulties, Mr. Speaker, but again I say I'm now 18 minutes into my speech and have barely been able to get started with the critique that I wish to make about the way that I have been treated. I am, after all, being excluded from Parliament. It's not a small thing.